Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, it's another Friday, the 20th of January 2023 out here at Giga-Texas. A lot of activity. You can see with the clouds behind me, it actually made the light very diffuse, so great video, great imaging, and allowed me to look inside the west side of General Assembly today. And there's a few things that we'll talk about. First of all, as you can see here, the main entrance is getting some interesting changes today. There's some square footing excavations with the rebar cages and a very interesting trapezoidal section being made right in front of the glass doors. And you can also see here the crews are doing some more of those test square samples of concrete with different colors, so very interesting. And we'll talk a little bit about some viewer ideas about what's going on in the entrance a little bit later in this intro. But also, if you're going to see here, people have asked me if with the new 4680 production that's going on, have all those batteries been cleared out on the third floor? The answer is no, they're still there, as you can see. Another interesting thing, a little bit further south on the third floor, as you can see in this image, there's a bunch of Model Y bodies inside that third floor. And this is that new section that has recently been lit up, and they are also putting a lot of materials in there as well. On the east side, so a very interesting development, as you can see by this picture, is in the parking lot up near the casting machine structure. Their crews are putting together some of these HDPE pipes. These are pipes that are used, in this case, I think, for treated water. And it may be related to the permit that we're going to talk about in just a second that just recently was filed with the city of Austin. But you can also see with this image here that they're using a fusion device to kind of butt weld each of these sections together to make these really long sections. Normally these are pulled underneath the ground through horizontal drilling, and this may explain why on the south end we still see that horizontal drill remaining. So there's a lot of other activity going on, specifically up at the cathode plant, but I also want to talk about a few things that you might find interesting next. So we'll get into that, and then after that we'll get into the main video. As always, thanks for your support, and let's talk about a few other items of interest.
On the 16th of January, I noticed that there was this interesting pattern being put in near the main entrance on the west side, and I asked my viewers if they had any ideas, and I got a lot of interesting suggestions. All were great, but one stood out, and that is from viewer Rumpel Mackey. And he thinks that this might be the Autobots logo, as that they've used Cybertrucks in the Transformer movies. And the inset picture is what he sent me, and he says that he thinks that this is what the motif might be. I don't know, it's very interesting, and it does have some similarities, but I'm kind of curious, what do you think about this input? And always, thank you very much for all of the inputs that I've received. And hopefully we'll find out soon from what we see on the site. The next item I want to talk about briefly is what I showed you on my 18 January video. You can see these water pipes being installed in and around the battery cathode complex. And there's a new permit that was filed on the 17th of January, and it says that the purpose is to install outside underground fire line, water and wastewater piping for Tesla's cathode building, ETJ, and the contractor is 5 Star Civil Construction, LLC. Now, ETJ means extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is the unincorporated area that is contiguous to and located within 2 miles of the corporate boundaries of the city. And over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the installation of the water pipe on all sides of the battery cathode plant. We've also seen some of the treated water pipes being installed underneath both plants, and I'm looking for the fire water loop soon. I hope you like the intro and the information that we discussed, so let's get ready to get into the main video. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. This morning we start off on the west side of General Assembly, also getting a good view of the roof with the Tesla logo on it, so I hope you enjoyed those views. A little bit of clouds today, which gives some really nice lighting, so I'm going to take the advantage and we'll take a look at some inside views along this side as well. What we're seeing here is this new concrete apron has been cross-cut. Also, the new doors have been installed along all of these new receiving docks, and you can also see various different kinds of load leveling systems installed and various different kinds of doors as well. And here you see a few different close up as well. On the second floor, you can see what is the headquarters for not only Giga-Texas, but also Tesla in full activity today. So let's continue further to the south and we'll take a look at some other developments. First, I want to show you the third floor here. This is the structural pack portion of the building, and we can see all of these 4680 structural packs stored in these pallets. And I've had a lot of questions about whether these are still here, considering that they're making 4680 Model Ys now, and it looks like they still are. We can also see quite a bit of activity here further south on the third floor of the General Assembly with quite a bit of materials, crates, and other equipment that has been moved in. And also we can get a good view of the second floor and first floor here at the main entrance and where it's being reconfigured. But first I want to pull away and show you some of the significant changes going on the outside. You can see a trapezoidal section in front of the glass. You can see some of the square footings and also some of the rebar cages. So it looks like we're going to have footings installed in this section as well. Also at the bottom of the screen, you can see crews preparing more of these test samples for concrete. You can see different colors, and it looks like they're doing this to kind of get a gauge of what color treatment that they may want to use on this main entrance. But here's a closer view of showing you the excavation for the footings, the rebar cages that are being prepared to be inset into those footings. And I'll give you a closer view as much as I can inside where they have been reconfiguring the main entrance. They've cut away some of the second floor and made a mezzanine. And it looks like now there's some angular sections being applied on that mezzanine. So very interesting developments. As I pulled away here, this gives you a good view from the side of how the main entrance on the outside is beginning to transform. And as we talked in the intro, a lot of viewers have had some speculation about what this may be. Hopefully this gives a little bit more of a clue and helps us kind of narrow down what those options may be. So let's continue further to the south. I'll slow down here just to show you some of the activity by this ramp. And also we can get an idea that the lighting on the third floor continues the entire length of the building now, which is outstanding. And as I was moving further to the south, I noticed on the third floor that there's a bunch of Model Y bodies that are being stored in various states of assembly here. So I thought this was interesting. I'll give you a good view inside as much as I can considering the lighting. But you can also see that this entire floor is very active all the way across to that wall where the stamping 2 is, and then all the way down to the south end as well. So it's great to see the further expansion of activity here at Giga-Texas. We see a lot of these Model Ys still being stored here on the southwest corner. And as we cross the road here, we can see some more of this activity with this red equipment. And it looks like it's some sort of drilling apparatus that on my previous video we saw them setting it up. And here it looks like they've completed some of the work. It's sitting idle right now, but they've been doing some sort of drilling operation into that square where you can see the asphalt has been pulled away. I'm maneuvering the drone around the south end, but I want to give you another couple of views inside this portion of the third floor of General Assembly, just so you can get a good view of what all has been transpiring. You can see just how well lit it is, all of the materials and other supplies that have been moved in. You can see this railing. This is a section that is open all the way down through to the ground floor. And you can also see some of the exterior treatment here as we come around. Looking down through to the ground floor, you can see a bunch of Model Ys at the end of the line of General Assembly preparing to be moved out, and then they'll go through their preparation for shipping. As I pull away, you can get an idea of where exactly this is located, and that open door is where the Model Ys exit. You can see quite a bit of Model Ys painted in white, and we'll see that on the east side as well. And I think this is related to the lowered prices and the electric car rebates, and because of that, I think we're going to see a lot more of the white ones. Here you can see some materials being loaded up onto the third floor. All of those items that we saw through the glass have come in through that particular temporary loading platform. As we continue further towards the east, I'm going to take the opportunity and drop the drone down so that we can get some views inside of stamping 2 as best as I can, given the conditions, the angle, and just how low I have to get the drone. But I'm going to zoom in here so you can get a good idea of what it looks like. And you can see in this door at the very back, a large equipment has been installed. This looks like another stamping or a metal forming machine, in addition to a bunch of other work closer to the door. And then some other materials being prepared for movement inside. But then as we get to this door, I'll try to give you another view inside. This is one of the AIDA stamping machines that has been installed, and if you can see there, it's really come along quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. And all of the materials for this are stored just to the east side of the stamping machine section, and you can see that with those crates and those blue items at that corner of the building. But I'm going to pull away here just a little bit to give you a view of the materials that are being staged on this east side. Most of those green and blue materials will also be moved inside that stamping 2, where they're assembling those very large metal forming and stamping machines. As we continue to pirouette the drone towards the south, just give you a good view of here where they're continuing to do some of the work on the electrical utilities. You can see those 3 slabs in a row amongst those poles. The green boxes that will mount to them are located just across the highway in that material staging location. And speaking of material staging, what I'm trying to show you here is on the left side of the road, we're getting more materials and steel being delivered. But on the right side of the road, right underneath the drone here, quite a bit has been moved away. And then earlier this morning, I saw some yard trucks physically picking up and relocating that material to the west side of the highway. So they're definitely doing some material change out and preparation for future construction here. I'll bring the drone up, look over the highway so you can see how this section of the construction site looks today. You can see that triangular shaped section, which is a parking lot. It's not quite active yet. You can see the east or the west expansion of the warehouse on wheels and more of the materials staging location. And this is a good view from the south looking to the north over the entire south end, the cyber pond, how this area looks today and where all the materials are stored just on the south side of the cyber pond. The bottom right hand side of the screen, one of the things that I just noticed here is that the horizontal drill has been removed from here, probably relocated further to the north. And as you'll see later on, they're doing some more of the HDPE pipe assembly on the north end of the east parking lot now. So for some reason it's transferring that operation farther to the north. But while we're here, I will turn the drone over towards the east. You can see in the background the battery cathode plant, the warehouse on wheels, the east lot on the left, and then this temporary parking lot and also some material staging. You can also see this clearing location, which continues to receive dirt as kind of a temporary storage until it's used at some other site around Giga-Texas. Now, one of the things that I noticed here, and I will bring the drone down a little bit and give you a view, as you can see, these yard trucks are picking up these two large white pieces of equipment. They've been stored outside for some time, and it now looks like they are ready to move them inside, most likely the stamping 2 on the south end where we looked into those large doors. So another big change here at Giga-Texas. Now, I want to also show you here on the east side of the body in white, you can see on the left the new apron has been poured and also cross-cut, and this is where they've added receiving doors. And this one here is just about ready to receive rebar. In fact, you can see it on the road right next to that section, so that'll be getting ready for concrete soon. And then this large area, it looks like they're wrapping up some of the plumbing work, and then they will prepare this section for rebar and then concrete. Also note on the right hand side of the screen just the number of castings that have been stockpiled here. They continue to grow, and they're filling out more and more of the space next to the casting machine structure. As I pull back, this is a good view of the new intersection. You can see where concrete's been poured on the left-hand side and how that form work is making an interesting shape. And it looks like they're preparing the right-hand side eventually for concrete as well. And there's a good view of those castings. You can see how far down the side of the building they extend. As we continue to pull back, this is the temporary testing and staging location for many of the Model Ys in addition to the helicopter pad, and it does look like almost all of those superchargers, the 32 superchargers that were installed, are now operational. You can see the new car staging and transportation lot is very busy today. A lot of Model Ys being picked up by transports. A lot of them are also in white, and I think that has to do with the electric car rebate and the price drops. So I think we're going to see quite a bit of Model Ys painted in white in the near future because of that activity. Also, you can see how the warehouse on wheels looks today. They're still using that north part as a parking for contractors until they get that new lot on the west side of the highway completed and ready for operations. But this is a good view of how the warehouse on wheels looks today. You can see those 4 stainless steel tanks next to the white tanks. I think those are eventually going to go into that west structure by the battery cathode plant, but it's something I will continue to monitor. This is a good view from the far southeast of this overall section and how it looks today. A lot of materials and equipment and some workshops on the center and the south side. You can see some more of those concrete panels on the bottom and then on the right-hand side of the screen. That all came from that south end of the building when they cut up a lot of that concrete. And also, this is just as a reminder, these trailers are the on-site offices for many of the contractors working on Giga-Texas. And this hill in the middle of the screen is generally where they do some recycling of some of the materials. As we continue to progress to the northwest, you can see the battery cathode plant, and we'll take a look at that in detail. As we arrive closer, you can see at the bottom of the screen, this is that interesting section that has all these trailers, the cooling units, looks like some tanks and some other equipment. I still have not figured out what this particular area is for. But as we approach the battery cathode plant, we'll get a good chance to see the east side today, starting with a look into this section. This is one of the 2 large open sections that reach from the ground level all the way up to the ceiling. And there's one on the south and the north side as well. The material staging yard here continues to get more and more materials. You can see the crews at the bottom of the screen installing and assembling one of these rack mount systems. You can take a look at the size of the workers to get a good idea of scale of how large those platforms truly are and the rest of the equipment nearby. Quite a bit more of the racking systems in white and red, and some other parts of that being prepared for assembly, and quite a bit of these crates, the wooden crates with the white tops, have been delivered as well. I'll also give you a good view inside this open section. This is the section that has those deeply installed foundations, probably for some pretty heavy machinery, and you can also see some of the ducting work inside as well. As I pull away, you can give you another idea of just how the rest of this east side looks. And next to this steel structure, which is the cell test lab, we can see they've now applied gravel mix on top of this section that has been reclaimed and the grade raised. So it looks like it may be either material staging or a parking lot soon. Here's a good view of the north end and where the work is being done to work on this entire clearing. On the upper left-hand side, you saw a brief glimpse of the materials that are being stored in that north field, and it just continues to grow. And my next video, if I can, with conditions, I'll try to get a view up there. But here's a good view of the overall construction site in and around the battery cathode plant, and we're working our way to the south along the west side. You can see some of these concrete vaults, this temporary structure, and I'll give you a view of some of the equipment that's being stored here. I believe most of this is destined to go into the west building, or also known as the die shop, once it's ready. You can also see some more of the iron pipes being prepared here for installation. The work that's going on these two temporary platforms on the left-hand side of the screen, and also all of this activity on this steel structure as they continue to install some of the electrical components and a lot of the iron pipes being suspended underneath this particular structure. So again, quite a bit of activity going on here, and the number of pipes just indicates how much more they have to go. This is a good view of the steel structure. It's continuing to grow to the south and now more towards the west. And also you can see the blue pipe in the middle. That's part of the water pipes that are being installed and is part of that permit that we talked about in the video intro. This turnaround gives you a good view of how they are expanding the steel structure now. It is extending over that highly densely piered section. You can also see this rectangular section that's been excavated over the geopiers, and this is all in preparation of a new foundation. There'll be probably a lot of rebar and concrete to support the equipment. You can also see how the bridge crane rails have been extended much further to the south, and with this steel structure here, it's on both sides of that heavily piered section. The footing work on the south continues. Looks like almost all of the footings on the west side have been poured except for one. And in the middle section, there's about 4 more that needs to have the concrete poured, and then 4 more with a mud base in the middle. And you can see those tie bars in between the footing on the east side as well, with some more construction on that south end. As I turn the drone back, this will give you a good view of the steel structure from this side. You can just see how much it has grown. It's almost doubled again since we saw it on Wednesday. And of course, the footing work is proceeding very quickly. Once all the footings are cured, we'll see the steel be assembled on top of them really quickly. Here's something else I wanted to show you. In addition to the blue water pipe down the center, you can also see this trench with the electrical conduit. There's a couple of rows of this electrical conduit. You can see by the tree some of the concrete vaults where there'll be connections made. This is to allow the utilities, the electrical utilities, to be connected to the grid for this entire complex, which is outstanding to see. So yet another significant development for the construction of this particular location. As we continue to go towards the west over this temporary storage location with all of the steel, we can see the progress with this water pipe installation. And I'll kind of turn around so you can get a good view of how this is progressing. But this is the continuation of that permit we talked about to connect the water main to the battery cathode complex of buildings. And these water pipes are continuing to extend towards the west, and then somewhere near the electrical switchyard, temporary switchyard, we should see where it's connected to the water main. Now, based on the permit, it seems like this water main is both for drinkable water, but it's also for the fire loop as well. As I pull away, I want to show you this interesting yellow crane. And on the trailers to the left, it looks like these may be some of the weights for the crane, I think. So it'll be interesting to see where this crane is used for. I'll also bring the drone down pretty low to show you the progress on the preparation to relocate this tree with the green ring around it. And also on the left-hand side, you can see this kind of a planter, almost like a monument. And this has been here since day one, and I'm wondering if this and the tree aren't related, and that's one of the reasons why they're putting so much effort with saving that tree and then relocating it. Now here's something else that I noticed of interest. I mentioned it earlier in the video. This is where crews are assembling these HDPE pipes. These pipes are for treated water, and I think this may also be related to that permit because it calls for treated water installation for the battery cathode plant complex. You can see the pipes on the left-hand side of the screen, 2 different diameters, and here the crews are using this fusion machinery to kind of butt weld and fuse the pipes together to make them long, contiguous pipes. These are also installed by doing horizontal drilling and then pulling through the ground. So I would expect to see that at some point, and then this will connect into the horizontal pipes that we saw installed several months ago down on that southeast corner. But anyway, another interesting development here, and it's really neat to be able to put the permit we discussed together with what we're seeing on the ground to see how it all is coming together. So let's get ready to proceed back up to the north and take a look at some of the activity just across Tesla Road. One of the things that we're going to stop here really quickly is some more of this reconfiguration work and installation of concrete pipes by this water detention pond. You can see how the pipes are being assembled and it will go underneath this road. The fact that they're using concrete pipes makes me think that at some point we may see some additional construction in this particular area as well. But here, as I pull back, is a good view of how this water detention pond and the pipes are continuing to transform. So let's head up forward towards the north and we'll take a look at the electrical switch yard and the progress up here today. You'll notice there's quite a bit of piping here, including the blue water pipe, and that's all to install that water system to the water main for the battery cathode plant. I'm also showing you here the temporary switch yard. You'll see that trailer in that center section of the building. This is a trailer that's used either for emergencies or during maintenance to help continue the electrical delivery while either another system or component is worked on or replaced. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's just regular maintenance or if it's related to the construction of the new permanent electrical switch yard that you see here. The 2 concrete pads on the left still are empty. I don't see the transformers arriving yet, but you can see the cable tray trenches are really progressing now. All 4 of the east to west fingers have been installed. Looks like they're getting ready to install the last of the steel cages on the one to the left. You can also see how the electrical switch yard, various components, steel, the A-frames, the circuit breakers all appear today, and then more of those cable tray trenches that reach into the middle of the switch yard. And then this section with the low steel and the insulators have got more of these bus bars that have been installed. All of this is in preparation to install the high tension power wires eventually that will allow the section to operate and power Giga-Texas. So we'll pull away. I'll go over the newly installed steel power lines, and I want to show you a few of the changes that are going on in this particular clearing. This is where the mega packs will eventually be installed. They've resumed some of the work here recently, and they've been clearing some more of the grade much closer to the road, as you can see right now. No activity going on at this moment in time, but it's great to see that they are preparing to do more work here. And so it'll be great to see also when the mega packs start to be installed. Now here's something I noticed. This cyber berm looks like there's some crews doing some work here. I think it's actually water. I don't think they're painting them, but you can see there's actually a different coloration. I also talked to some of the crews that were doing the lighting, and they said that they would be doing some sort of maintenance on the lighting system over there. So that may be part of what's going on. Here on the northeast corner of the building, you can see all of the castings looking to the south. And then there's also this continuing to grow a section of castings right next to the wall, which is very interesting. And I'll try to zoom in here just so you can take a look at them. And I also wanted to see if there was any variation of these, but they don't appear to be. But they also appear to be nearly completed, machined, and some other work done on them. So again, I'm not sure why they're being stacked in this particular section. Here's a good view of some more deliveries and the green and red components that continue to be moved inside, and it's slowly starting to reduce the amount of materials here as well. And then a view of the northwest corner of the building where the 4680 battery cell production is underway. So that's about it for today. It's a very busy day, a lot to see, very active site. I hope you enjoyed the video and the narration and the information that I presented. As always, thank you very much for your support, and I wish you a great weekend. Take care.